Hey guys, hi. From this tutorial, we will start the looping statements in PHP. Looping statements are used to iterate the things. When we have to execute the code multiple times, then we actually iterate them instead of writing them again and again. We perform some looping statements and we put our code within that looping statement so that we do not have to write the amount of code numerous number of times. So for that we use some looping statements that are for loops, while loops, and for each loops. We start with the for loop, which is the very basic type of looping statement. It's actually very important to learn the for loop as it will going to help us in our advanced modules. So let's start with the for loop. Let's save our file with the name for underscore loop.php. So our file is saved. Now let's start our code. So let's start by initializing a variable that is 0. So what we need to do now, we need to print the numbers starting from 0 to 10. Okay, let's make it 1 to 10. Okay, so for if we do not use the looping statements, then we have to write the n number of lines to print the same. But what if we use looping statements? Then definitely our code will be shortened, and we can use for loop to actually save the number of lines in our code. So let's start. A for loop has a for statement. It has a block of code. Now the thing starts here. It's within the parentheses. First thing is the initialization. Initialization means the variable through through which we will be iterating the statements. So let's put $I here and initialize it with 1 as we have initialized here, and it is not recommended, sorry, it is not mandatory to initialize the same as above here. So let's move on. The second thing we need to see is the condition. Every for loop comes up with the conditions so that the iteration gets break when the condition doesn't satisfy. So let's again move on. So we have to print numbers till 10. So we need to iterate the loop 10 times. So for that we can do I is less than 10. Okay. The last thing we need to see is increment. We need to increment the loop so that the number go from 1 to 2 to 3 and so on. If we do not increment or decrement, we can also use decrement, but here we first use increment. If we do not increment, then the loop basically doesn't end and it may go infinite. So let's increment I loop here with I++. It means I will be incremented every time by 1 once the loop has finished executing. So let's move further and print the values. So let's print it. It's echo $I. Let's make it more readable here. Let's first print the number is okay. Okay, a comma, so to append things, and again a break so that the things go to the next line. Let's test the result on the browser. Open the browser. our main thing, localhost teach and for underscore loop.php. So you can see it has iterated the loop 10 times, but yes, it is printing till 9. And why so? Let me tell you. The loop starting from 1 but ending to 9. Why? Because here $I is less than 10. In condition the $I is less than 10. So when I has 9, the loop continues. As soon as the I has 10 within itself, then the loop terminates because it doesn't satisfy this condition. So this is the basic aim of this condition, to break the loop. So what we can do here to print 10 also, we can put a less than and equal to. It means less than or equal to 10. So until it is 10, we can print the same. So let's check the result, and you can see the 10 is also printed now. So this is the thing. If we make it 20, then probably print the things 20 times, as you can see the result here. So that's basically what for loop is used for. In the later modules, we'll be using the PHP functions within these for loops for developing great modules. It's very good. Let's now learn how we can iterate arrays in PHP through for loop. It's a very important concept which I'm going to tell you now. So let's first declare an array variable with the name $number. Now let's initialize $number as an array. $number 20, $number array 30. It's important to note that these brackets are important to put because this is an array variable, and to let the compiler know that we are initializing array variables, these brackets are used. So it by default it automatically increment the indexes, as I have told you in my array tutorial that arrays are saved as indexes. So by default it will take 10 in 0th index, 20 in 1 index, and 30 in second index. So that's about initializing the array. Now what next is performing a for loop for iteration. For that we have $I equals to 0, so that it can point to the 0th index. We have $I is less than 3, because we have 3 elements, we have indexes till 2. It means 0, 1 and 2, and the final one, the increment one, $I plus plus, so that it can increment the array indexes. So what we need to do now, we can print the elements. Okay, we can print the elements. It's echo the array element is, we can put a break here. Yes, make it more readable all the time. Thank you. So now what we need to do, we need to print the value within the $number variable, which is an array. So let's echo $number and put the index here. I hope you have got what I'm trying to do. I'll make the explanation again once we have the output. Let's put one more break here, and let's check the result on the browser. It's F5. Okay, so what we can see is 10, 20 and 30 has been printed. How? Now the array now the iteration is being made on I, which is 0, 1, 2. So when I has 0, it prints the 0th element of number. When I is 1, it prints the 20th element. Yeah, but it's a very static one. What if we have one more value? We actually need to change the lot of the program. It's not actually what we have used in for loop. It's not actually very much dynamic. It's actually very static. So what we can use a function to count the number of arrays. I have told you before that this is a count function. It returns an integer, and it is saved in a variable. The integer is actually the number of elements in an array. So what we can do, we can put the number here, and it will actually return the number of values in the array count. Okay, let's echo and check the result of array count. We have 4 here, and yes, we have 4 elements here. If we comment it out, then definitely we have 3 as the result. Yes, we have 3 as result, as you can see here. So that's a dynamic approach, and that's a better one, of course. I'm commenting the echo out, and instead of 3 here, we can actually put $array underscore count. That will take the dynamic approach, of course, and here it is. It has automatically printed the 4th element, which is in the 3rd index of the array, and we do not have to change much of the code. Now what if we add one more, actually 2 more uh, values in the array? So do we need to change the for loop now? Absolutely not, because we have a function which is performing the same for us, 50, 60. Now add as many number of values in the array. We do not need to actually manipulate the for loop. So that's the concept now, using the count function, getting the number of elements in an array, and making the loop work that number of times. I hope you have got the tutorial and the things I have taught you in this tutorial about the for loop. So that's all about it. In the next tutorial, we'll see how we can iterate things using while loop. That is also a very good loop to use, and it actually used when we do not know the number of times to iterate exactly. So in that way we use while loop. This was all about the for loop. If any questions, you can comment below on the YouTube, or you can leave a query on the website at phpbyfire.com. Thank you very much.